to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest Beauty, Beauty Revival Beauty, Business and Breakthrough with a Mission by celebrity makeup artist. No other than Miss Mary Beth York.
Yes. Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. This is fun.
Welcome, Miss Mary Beth. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely. I've been in the beauty industry my whole adult life. I started out as a makeup artist and then I went on to open salons and spas and eventually became an esthetician. And then I ended up creating my own products, but everything to solve problems. So I've worked on thousands of women. I see the same things over and over. Every woman tells me the same thing. So I launched my first product, which was my beauty ammo kit on HSN. Actually, I launched it at in the spa industry first at spa conventions, but it's 3 steps to combat and camouflage wrinkles. And from there, I've gone on to create lots of other products. And I worked a lot in LA. I did a lot of red carpet stuff, Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes. And I was lucky enough to get my products on lots of TV sets, including Dancing with the Stars. So that's super exciting too. So I've just been in the beauty industry starting at the very bottom as a receptionist in a salon when I was 19, and I worked my way up to, as I said, owning my own salons and spas and then creating my own products, which are all vegan, organic, gluten-free, just amazing ingredients. But it's been a long process and nothing's been easy and nothing's been random.
Yes, Miss Mary Beth York. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more empowering products to come. And today, let's talk
Yes.
about the most common makeup missteps that improvise.
Yes. The
Tell
biggest
us.
mistakes women make is always a great topic. And I'm just super opinionated in every single step of the makeup application. And it's because, as I said, I've worked on thousands of women. So I see the same things over and over. And the number one biggest mistake that women make is they don't have the right products underneath. And if your skin isn't like hydrated and glowing, makeup is going to make you look older. And a lot of colors even can make you look older. Formulas can make you look older. And my clientele was always women 40 and up. I was in an area with like a lot of country clubs where my spas were, and it just became my niche. A lot of golfers, women that knew who they are, that weren't trying to do like a Kardashian spray on makeup. I'm just very opinionated in terms of just a very small lane of what I like and what everyone that I do seems to like also, which is just super easy 5 minute makeup. I plump and prime everything with my magical trio, which is there on the screen. Again, it's just having that underneath right. And so my Botox, it's actually called Lift and Snap Serum now. It has an ingredient that instantly photoshops everything. And again, the right moisturizer, my Marine Magic is just instantly plumping, firming, totally hypoallergenic. And then my beauty ammo kit for under the eyes. And when people say, oh, of course, she's selling products, I've heard that on another big podcast I was on recently. Somebody made the comment. And I was like, yeah, I am selling products. And it's because there are openings in the market where there is nothing available that does what my products do. And that's why I get called on to sets to put it on Brad Pitt, George Clooney, the whole cast of Glee, Martin Sheen, Kevin Bacon. That's why they use it on Dancing with the Stars and said it made Cloris Leachman look 30 years younger. So I'm super competitive when it comes to my products because I feel like there's so much room out there to get it wrong. So back to mistakes that women make, they don't have the right products underneath to plump and prime everything so they can wear more concealer, get better coverage. And that is my beauty ammo kit. It's a collagen mask, a line putty primer that's like spackle, and then my all natural color adjusting concealer, which covers on everyone. It's awesome. So then there's so much room to get it wrong with like foundations. I feel like foundation is really important. And so many women tell me, I just don't like it. I don't like how it feels on my face. And it's because a lot of times, like they tried it 20 years ago and again, or maybe 10 years ago, and they just got the wrong color, the wrong formula. And like I said, there's a lot of room to get it wrong. When Rihanna launched her line of foundation, my daughter wanted me to go with her to Sephora to look at it. And when we looked at it, there was like 40 shades. And my daughter said, "What do you think?" And I said, "A lot of room to get it wrong." And so, again, you're depending on the lighting in these places, you're depending on the salesperson. And, most people just don't know. So, I've custom blended 20,000 bottles of foundation in my career. So I'm really good at knowing what color, but I also do the opposite of what most department store does. And I don't like yellow everything. I feel like with the Kardashian influence, everything is gone towards the warm yellow everything, which turns orange. So I'm always de-oranging people. I feel like their foundation's too orange, their bronzer's too orange, their blush is too orange, their brows are too orange. So I just boom, 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 correct everything and balance it out with more cool undertones. And then lastly, just to not bore people if it's too much information, but I'll say the tiniest variation in a color can be the difference between amazing and disaster. And so, for example, women will say, "Do you see how many lipstick colors I have in my purse?" Like to justify the fact that they do not need lipstick. And I'll say, "Well, that's because you haven't found the right one. You're mixing all those together. You're still searching." And I have one color only. I sell two colors, one that's brighter, which I have on right now, like because I'm on camera, but the other one, it's called Capri. And I had it in my mind, the exact range I wanted it to be. And I talk about how I traveled the world looking for this color because I had taken my daughter to Europe like several times, and we'd go to every city, every country. We'd go into the city centers and go to their apothecaries and their department stores and scour the cosmetic departments. And after that trip, I was just convinced. I'm like, this color does not exist anywhere. And so I asked one of my labs, and I have several different ones that I work with. I described to them exactly what I wanted, and boom, they made it on the first try perfectly. And it's called Capri, and it's just a huge seller because it's just that perfect everyday color. It's kind of like a mauve rose, but it has a lot of shimmer. And I feel like, again, this matte look, cream. I just feel like it makes your face look dull, whereas some shimmer just really brightens everything up. And so I know this sounds like a lot, but I also have two shimmer sticks that can multitask as everything from lipstick, blush, eyeshadow, you name it. And it's just a shimmery, glowy look. And I just show women how they could just go boom, 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 frost the cake, lift everything up. And last thing I'll mention, which is also on my website, in terms of the biggest mistakes that women make, is every woman will tell me they don't know how to do their eyes. They're just clueless. And so I would do their eyes, and then I'd have to draw a diagram and write down what brush to use and put stickers on every shadow. And people wouldn't buy the brushes, and then they would come back and say, "It just never looks the same as when you do it." And so after I had launched my beauty ammo kit on HSN, which I did like 4 times their expected projections, and every time I was there, it was Hollywood's secret weapon, and I had new shows and new celebrities and talking about everyone using it. They asked me if I would do an eyeshadow kit. So I created the paint by number eyeshadow. And again, going back to, of course, she has a product, but it doesn't exist anywhere else because I included the brushes, the diagram, and all the shadows are numbered one, two, three. The brushes are numbered one, two, three. So it's basically makeup for dummies, number one brush, number one shadow, base, crease, liner. So that was a 5-star customer pick on HSN. It was twice featured on Today's Show, and people love it because it just solves all of their problems. So, yeah, that's the clip notes on the biggest mistakes women make with their makeup.
Yes, indeed. So, Miss Mary Beth, tell us your upcoming book. What is the title?
So my upcoming book is
Tell us
called
your upcoming book.
Beauty Revival, and it's beauty, business, and breakthrough with a mission. And basically, I'm super excited. It's in the final stages of editing right now, but it talks about my climbing the ladder of the beauty industry and everything that I did, and a lot of behind the scenes stuff of like how I got my products on HSN, how I created my products, how I got them on sets like Dancing with the Stars, and some personal stories too. And like I said, lots of business, but I have a supernatural element to it also because I've always had some really strong supernatural gifts. And so I tell a lot of those stories in the book because I used a lot of that to create my products also. And if you read it, you'll appreciate obviously my products more, but it's also a message of empowerment for women. And I feel like, again, as women 40 and up and beyond, they feel like their value is just gone. And the way society is right now, too, with social media and beauty being so performative, that nobody's talking about the inside. And I know that that sounds really cliche, it sounds really basic, but it's true. And the fact is, there's a divine ambush in my book where I talk about how God has given everyone a mission for their life. And some people know what their mission is, some don't, but you can't be truly fulfilled until you are in alignment with your mission. So I've always had a gift for like helping people find out what their mission is and helping them with branding and telling it as a story, whether it's something that's altruistic or an actual business that they're doing, because usually your mission is some bit of a business, but it also is a ministry in terms of whatever God's put inside of you that's a gift. You are meant to share it with other people. So I feel like when you see yourself the way God sees you, you know what your value is, and you're not aligning with the lies that are our society. So I also talk about a miracle code that I created, and it's basically there's the truth, the lie, and the miracle. And when you're suffering in any aspect of your life, and for women, a lot of times I've been listening to this since I was 19, women telling me, just you wait, like how hard it is to get older and aging. And and I just made the promise to myself back then, like, I'm never going to be that way. I don't talk negatively about myself. I don't point out negative flaws in women, especially doing their makeup. I've never once said we need to do something about this droopy eye. I always just build women up and empower them. And that is what I'm doing with my book. I just want women to see what their value is. And as I said, see it from God's eyes. And as far as aging goes, too, because there are things like resentment and unforgiveness that show up on your face and that are very aging. And so the supernatural in God's kingdom is when you're living according to his principles and you're forgiving people that have wronged you, and you're living from a place of giving, giving back and in alignment with your purpose. God literally turns back the clock and he gives you back, he restores your years that were stolen from you, from trauma and drama and things that you went through. So I talk a lot deeper on all of that in my book. And again, I teach people how to create miracles by aligning with the truth. And so, one little example of this is you're believing something. This is just something right at the top of my head. Maybe I'm too old to find anyone, nobody is going to love me. I'm unlovable. And then you just align it with what the truth is. And the truth is that's absolutely a lie from the enemy that's convincing you that you're not worthy. And when you choose to believe, like I said, how God sees you and the absolute truth, then the miracle can come in. And I show how to do it with practical things too, like a lost pet, a car problem. I have all kinds of examples of when all seems lost, court cases. My podcast also, I have episodes on like how to create victories in the courtroom, and I give example after example of times I've done it. And it's, again, praying is number one, but then you have to visualize also. And I teach how to do the visualization, nothing crazy, but it's just part of the code. And then basically, you have to just have the faith of a mustard seed. You do not have to have like law of attraction type, but believe it till you see it. This is not woo woo new age. This is just actual proof of what works. So you just have faith of a mustard seed, and then you put it in God's hands and you get the miracle. And so I demonstrate it in lots of stories. I give step by step on how to do it. And it's just empowering. It's fun. It gets people thinking about something else other than, what they can do with their beauty products. Did I lose you?
Go ahead,
Are you
Miss
back?
Elizabeth Mary. Yes. Thank
It's
you
okay.
for that empowering book and looking forward for that. So when you gonna publish that book?
Well, the goal, it was August, but I also just I want to make sure that whatever I'm putting out there is just very solid. And so it's in a last stage of editing. So I'm looking at like October 1, but I'll definitely be announcing it through my website, which is mbyork.com. My email list, I send out to all of my podcasts, and obviously I'll be promoting it like crazy. And my YouTube channel, which I'm just getting restarted up with that, which is a whole nother business in itself in
Yes.
terms of challenges and learning it. But that's MB York Beauty is my YouTube channel too, which I'm trying to put up lots more tutorials with makeup and stuff too. So
Most important makeup step. What is the number one mistake? Is the most mistake ruins before has been applied, right?
the number one mistake is, and I noticed this, back when I first opened my spas or when I was first.
Sorry, we are having we are experiencing the make it has been again,
Okay.
people. We are yes, got
The number one biggest mistake are under eye issues. And I feel like I said before, people are dry and then they put on concealer and everything just gets stuck in the fine lines. The concealer powder foundation, you could just see it creasing and caking. And so I created the Beauty Ammo Kit to solve that problem. So you have massive hydration with the collagen mask, and then my line plumper, and then my concealer, which is very hydrating. I did infomercial once where I went to Target and just randomly bought some concealers, and you're not allowed to try them in the store, or look at them or feel them or anything. So I just wanted to get an idea of what's out there. And when I came home and started playing with them, it was just atrocious in terms of how aging all of the formulas were. They were just horrific. So that's the number one biggest mistake I feel is the under eye thing. I don't know if you're hearing me. I'm still talking.
Yes.
Am I good?
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um,
Still talking if even I'm not
okay.
around.
So the under eye thing is huge. I also have an eye gel called Unpack Your Bags, and it has lightening agents for dark circles, natural retinol for fine lines, clinically proven to reduce puffiness. Because again, the under eye issue is just seems to be everyone's biggest challenge. And then I would just say women do one of two things. They either don't wear any makeup or hardly any because they feel like it's just, they don't like it, nothing looks good on them, or they are super committed to the wrong thing. And maybe, like my, I shouldn't say my CPA, she was doing it for years and years and years, like her makeup, like from in the 60s with like the wing liner and the powder blue. And every year I would see her when I would do my taxes and I would give her products and I would fix it, but she would always go back to her comfort zone. So, and I get it, it's very intimidating to trust someone to just sit down at a makeup counter because again, you have no idea what they're going to do, and it's scary out there. So, yeah, I have compassion for women because they don't know. And not, I feel like I'm not saying everyone, obviously. This is another thing I'm learning with YouTube is, people can grab on to one thing you say and then twist it all around. I'm sure there are people that have learned how to do their makeup. And I do think as women, we do know what looks good on us and what doesn't for the most part. So I would just say they go too light on it because they're not confident. So even when women buy all my products after I do them, they'll come back and say, "How am I doing?" And I'll look and I'll be like, to me, it doesn't look like they have anything on at all. And so I'll say, sit down and let me just go over it again. And I bump up everything. And they're like, oh my God, it's so much better. And so it's more of sometimes, but the right colors. They're still very light colors. And that's why, again, you have to do more of it. So, and that's a confidence thing. I feel sometimes if you're not confident, you're just going to do it very, very lightly. So it's a little bit heavier hand if you're using the right tools and you have the right formulas. So for it to look professional.
Definitely, and very well said indeed, Miss Mary
I'm sure you
Beth.
can relate,
And
right?
before we wrap up our yes, I can relate. Before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please listen to my other podcast, people. Already in fifth season. Already in fifth season. Poetry and second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. I'm a food 101 in fourth season. I'm a baby podcast on mental health. Season on strategy and leadership. I'm a food law 101. Love letters and its season and movie 101 review music 101 in fourth season. So if you want to watch that second season, wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Mary Beth, tell us what are your short term and long term goals as an entrepreneur?
Sorry, what? I couldn't hear that last part. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say long-term goals as an entrepreneur? Okay, I'm not sure if this is still, if we're glitching out or not, but I'll answer that. I'm not sure if that's what is what you asked me, but did you ask
Yes.
me? Okay,
Yes, Miss
long-term
Mary Beth.
plans as an
Yes.
entrepreneur. Okay,
Yes.
my long-term plans are I do want to ramp up my distribution of my products in salons and spas again. And I feel like my book is really going to help me with that, because it's just a training manual in a way, in terms of when you truly understand something. And I have so much experience, like just teaching estheticians how to sell product. And it's just by giving people the steps, telling women what they need. So, again, I feel like between my podcast, my YouTube channel, my book, that I'm going to have a stronger foundation going out there, because there's so much competition. People will say, like, with the beauty industry, you go to the spa conventions and there's just so many different product lines. And I get it. But at the same time, what I've done over all the years of owning my spas and salons is, before I was even an esthetician, I just vetted so many different lines that we would bring in and that estheticians would want me to have. And I would get the feedback of women day in and day out for years and years. And I just, by their feedback, have eliminated anything that's problematic and created things that are just truly home runs. And so TV solves everything. When I, do a TV segment, or even like this, it's such a great way to communicate, way better, obviously, than standing in a spa, salon, even department store, and just hoping somebody's going to walk by, to buy your products. When you understand the story ahead of time and you educate people, I feel that that's the secret sauce. And personally, I don't want to jump into the ring of TikTok and Instagram and making every single post, just it's just too much. I feel like people are tired of it. And I want to focus on the whole package. Makeup is one thing, skincare, but that's like, let's get that done. That's easy. Here's what you need. And then let's go deeper and focus on the other things, the important things, who you are as a person, how you're growing as a person. Talk about your faith and your legacy. And again, having value as you grow older, and being a good example to women and younger generations, and actually taking a place in society of living that role, instead of running around in bathing suits and bikinis and making everything a narcissistic flex on social media.
Yes. Good luck to your goals, Miss Mary Beth York. Looking forward for more success and more products to come. For sure,
Let's,
eh?
yes, always.
Always. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, and your upcoming book?
Thank you so much. And again, my Instagram, not that I'm great with it, but it's mbyork.beauty. My website is mbyork.com. There's a link at the top for my podcast right there. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. And hopefully, I gave some value to your listeners. Hopefully, they'll
Yes,
reach out.
indeed, you give value, Miss Mary Beth, for giving them the right makeup to their personality. So,
Yes.
people, let's support Miss Mary Beth York, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering beauty secrets and products to come. So, Miss Mary, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You have a great weekend. I appreciate it.
More to come, people. See you